All right. Hi, everyone, and thank you for visiting our presentation. I'm Eugene, and together with Alex, we'll tell you about the new emerging field of secure and trusted AI, and in particular, adversarial machine learning. We have been doing security research for more than a decade, and these days we are founders of Adversarial, a security research company focusing on protecting AI systems from cyber threats, privacy issues, and safety incidents. We have recently released a report that covers the past 10 years of progress towards secure AI systems, and it includes signals from governments, academia, and industry. So we collect all those signals together to make the problem more tangible. And our findings demonstrate that AI industry is totally unprepared for security threats. And with this agenda, with this presentation, I want to prove this. And in the end, Alex will present a case study of security assessing AI facial recognition systems. In the first section, I want to introduce the problem of securing AI systems. I want to prove that it's not a theoretical threat, but a real one. And the industry is totally losing this game so far. If you take a look at the history of cybersecurity and technology in general, we can see that every decade was dominated by a specific technology, and attackers started to exploit it, and then the security solutions emerged. So we've had an era of network security, of endpoint security, application security, and now the focus is shifting from traditional software to AI software or software 2.0. So we believe that the next decade will be dedicated to securing AI systems. But of course, these are not changing eras. These are extensions. So we still need networks, endpoints, and applications secure. And we just cannot ignore AI security anymore. And besides all the hype around AI, it's proven its value in the real world. We have a lot of use cases in our daily lives, like smart assistants that process speech or text, some other smart applications used by various industries. And we cannot avoid using AI anymore. It's just doing providing real value. But the problem is that we are familiar with how to protect traditional software, and both attackers and defenders have clear motivations, they know how to do their jobs, but the same approach cannot be transferred to AI software because it's totally new paradigm and requires new approaches. And the problem is that traditional solutions cannot transfer to AI models. There are no anti-malware for model Trojans, there is no firewall product for input manipulation attacks. There are no threat detection for data exfiltration from AI models. There are early attempts to do some vulnerability analysis, but these open source tools are very useful in production environments, especially at scale. So AI systems can be both attack target and attack vector, because even if you don't care about securing a given system because it's low priority, it's a new interface, it's a new attack vector because it increases your attack surface, so it opens doors to attackers. And we cannot ignore AI systems in production anymore. So here I want to show that it's not a theoretical concept, but a real threat. There are several incidents with the real products that related to AI security. And even besides that, in many academic works, researchers try to target real-world systems such as smart assistants, such as online services, APIs of tech giants. So it's only a question of time when we see an explosion of real attacks against AI systems, and they will become as common as spam or ransomware. And if we take a look at a higher level, we can see that there is a problem of building reliable AI systems, and this problem is real, and security is just one part of many problems in AI. And if we group all the problems together, we'll see an emerging field of trustworthy AI. And all of these areas, we have grouped them into 3 big categories about, the AI should be functional or reliable, it must be resilient and responsible. All of these areas are equally important to build beneficial and trustworthy AI. But in this report, we've only focused on security part of the trustworthy AI, with the emphasis on adversarial machine learning. So the field, adversarial machine learning, is about practical attacks and defenses for AI systems. And this field may sound like a new thing to many people. Some people never heard about this. Some security experts anticipated that AI might be a new attack target. But even for them, it was hard to grasp how huge this field is nowadays. Historically, ideas of adversarial machine learning can be traced back to early 90s with the papers about learning under malicious noise. Then the interest was reborn around 2004 with some attacks on classification algorithms, but it remained a very small area of research for a long time. Until around 2014, when the first attacks against deep learning algorithms were published. Around the same time, we've seen an explosion of computer vision algorithms and of generative adversarial networks. So all of this together motivated some research about securing and attacking AI systems. And also, the growth in the recent years goes in line with the national initiatives, which also motivate some academic research. We have collected around 4,000 research papers, and we have found out that around 50 countries contributed to this field. And most researchers are affiliated with academic labs rather than corporate research labs. And this map shows all countries which contributed at least 1% to a total number of research publications. And we see that the volume of AI security research is correlated to the maturity of tech industries in these countries. So basically, it also correlates with the adoption of AI in these countries. And predictably, US and China, 2 AI superpowers, have released more papers than the rest of the world combined, and the UK and Germany shared the 3rd place. However, if we consider per capita numbers in millions, the top 3 countries would be Singapore, Switzerland, and Israel. And I also want to mention that due to isolated research environment and language differences, we expect that the Chinese contribution is much bigger. However, our research methodology cannot show this. So regarding the progress, we can see it from different angles, from academia, from governments, from industry. And the history shows that for various cybersecurity domains, it takes around 10 years to go from the academic concepts to a complete adoption by the industry, by organizations. So clearly, adversarial machine learning is on a similar path and is quite close to becoming mainstream. It's also backed by national AI policies and industry demand. And talking about national policies, the first policy on AI has been released in 2016 and in the US. And the next policy focused on security of AI. It was released in 2019, so it took around 3 years to shift focus from basic AI policies to the trusted AI policies. And we believe that this trend will continue as more than several dozen countries will release their follow-up policies on trusted AI after they have released regular AI policies. And what gives me hope is the industry progress. We can see that there are first demand, and to address this demand, there are startups and consulting companies that offer trusted AI services. The Gartner started covering this topic recently, and we can see the growth of AI red teams across big tech companies like Facebook, Microsoft, Nvidia, OpenAI, Mitra, and others. So talking about AI attacks, I want to present you some insights based on more than 2,000 attack cases against around 100 applications. So let's take a look. Basically, with the growth of AI, cyber attacks will focus on fooling those part of smart software like vision or analytical or language parts, because AI has introduced the new type of cognitive user interfaces, because we can make speech commands, we can make gesture commands, so it will be easy to fool those systems. And as we can see, there are many applications that are already attacked, and the largest share goes to vision, and there are a few reasons behind this large share. First of all, computer vision is the most mature area of AI, so that's why it's gaining some interest. The second, it's easier to demonstrate the vulnerability with visual changes to inputs. And third, due to structure of image files, it's easier to modify them and to attack than audio or something else. But we're confident that as adoption of and maturity of other domains grow, they also will become a more lucrative target for attackers. And data is a vital part of every AI system. Adversarial scenarios around data may vary from infecting data used for AI training to corrupting malicious inputs during AI inference, or attackers can simply steal private data through data extraction attacks. And images is the most targeted data type because it's easier to attack and it's more convincing to demonstrate vulnerabilities. And this also correlates with the maturity of computer vision. However, none of these reasons mean that the computer vision is more vulnerable. I would say quite the opposite. Big number of attacks in research literature motivates developing defenses, and those applications with fewer attacks may be even more vulnerable because there is no motivation to develop defenses against them. But after all, we can see that all existing data types have been attacked already. So this is also closely correlated to the applications because data fools those applications. And talking about AI adoption, we don't even notice how much we rely on algorithms already. Let's say with Siri or Alexa or just Face ID, many AI applications have become a natural part of our lives. And some other use cases like medical imaging or malware detection have disrupted their industries. And we are all aware that popular applications become a target for cyber criminals quite quickly. And AI is not going to be an exception. And the problem is that we think that the most AI applications are fundamentally vulnerable. In all adversarial cases, unprotected models never exhibited inherent robustness and always failed against attacks on AI algorithms. Also, from all the cases, we can conclude that the fundamental reasons why vulnerabilities exist are of the same nature. So most other applications that are not tested yet are also anticipated to be vulnerable. And besides that, there is an attempt to create a universal attack that transfers across models and applications. So these numbers will only grow. And if we talk about real world scenarios and industry applicability, we can see that the most popular applications are the most scrutinized. And some applications, such as image classification, they span across industries and put these industries at risk. Others, like facial recognition or malware detection, they undermine trust in AI applications in such mission-critical products. So here we determined industries based on the purpose of the model and the data set. For instance, facial recognition systems would go to biometrics, and attacks against semantic segmentation with the data sets from their self-driving cars dashboard cameras accounted towards automotive industry. So that's how we got this rating, and it's based purely on the number of attacks in research literature. And attack research column shows the interest of researchers to attack such applications, but we also want to pay attention to transferable risks, because there are many attacks that are similar or transferable both across applications and across industries. So we've made this risk correlation and counted attacks from one industry to another industry when they're transferable. For instance, attacks against facial recognition system in biometric systems are transferable to surveillance systems. So we counted these numbers in both industries, and that's made our rating for transferable risk. And now let's look at adversarial attacks in more details. First of all, to develop trusted AI, equal attention should be paid to all stages of security lifecycle of AI systems. And here you can see how the interest of researchers is distributed across these domains. Close numbers for attack and defenses reflect the common cat and mouse game in cybersecurity. And despite differences on the technical level of attacking and defending machine learning algorithms, adversarial machine learning follows the same cybersecurity laws. So the same concepts and ideas can be applied to securing AI systems. However, while we can see the number of attacks and defenses is quite close, it's worth noting that there are dozens of effective attacks and next to nothing efficient defenses for AI systems. So let's take a look at attacks at a high level. In this section, we show the big categories of adversarial attacks. Manipulation attacks allow adversaries to bypass expected AI behavior or make AI systems perform unexpected jobs. With maliciously crafted inputs, attackers can conduct evasion attacks or adversarial reprogramming of AI systems in real time. Infection attacks sabotage the quality of AI decisions and enable self-control of AI systems, and attackers contaminate data used for training. They can exploit hidden AI backdoors or distribute malicious AI trojans. On the other hand, exfiltration attacks aim to steal data from AI systems. Data samples used for AI training, private AI inputs, internals of AI algorithms can be exfiltrated with attacks such as model inversion, membership inference, attribute inference, or model extraction, which is also called model stealing. This is our top 10 attacks based on around 2,000 attack cases in our research data set. What is worth noting is that evasion is around 81% of all attacks, and poisoning is around 7%, and all the rest attacks take from 3% to 0.3%. And I want to mention that most attacks against AI systems remind me traditional application security attacks. It's traceable how attack vectors are methodically taken from general cybersecurity and applied to adversarial machine learning. And now Alex will show you the case study about how we attacked facial recognition systems and conducted comprehensive security evaluation with the evasion attacks.
Hi everyone, my part will be a little bit more practical. So I'm going to show you the case study that we performed against a facial recognition system. And as you are aware, facial recognition systems are on the second place by the number of research papers devoted to this topic. And I'll start with the example of Evasion Attack, which is on the first place in the top 10. So evasion is the most common attack. Basically, you can see the demonstration in the slide. When we have some kind of image classification engine, and we have a image of pig, and let's say we want to change this image to something else. So we may add a certain pixels to this image so that the AI system will recognize it now as an airliner, but we as humans won't be able to see any difference. So basically, this attack can be performed in 2 steps. First step is to understand what are the most important pixels, and the next step is to somehow change those pixels using various types of mathematical algorithms. And there are hundreds of papers describing those algorithms. But this is a theory, and of course it works in a digital world. But what about, first of all, the physical world, and secondly, about the real applications like facial recognition, or not just image classification? So once we were contacted by the company and the smart home solution provider, and they asked us to perform the tests of their facial recognition system. And the goal was to understand what are the best combinations of software and hardware. So what we've done. The first thing was to the first problem is that there are 4,000 different research papers about adversarial attacks. Okay, if we will take only those which are devoted to facial recognition, we still have more than 100 research papers, each one of more than 10 pages. But the biggest problem is that each of those research papers focused on the different types of models, different data sets, and you cannot really compare those results. So you still don't have a clue like what is the real threat and what is just an academia research. So we performed, we create our own framework to perform adversarial testing. So first, you should understand what is your the biggest risk. So basically, what is the attacker goal? If attackers just want to misclassify the image, or he wants to hide from the facial recognition system, or he wants to pretend that he is a different person. Then, depending on the conditions, if attacker can wear glasses, we may try to perform adversarial attack on glasses. If he cannot wear glasses, we can wear a mask and print adversarial attack on mask, because everybody should wear masks. The next step is to understand the knowledge of attacker, if it's black box or white box attack. Then we have some kind of time constraints, so we should understand what kind of attacks can be performed in a certain period of time. The next is a very important part. It's different conditions. Because if you will print your, let's say, adversarial glasses, the colors on those glasses won't be the same as you expected. So your adversarial attack may not work. So you need to adjust your attack to various printing conditions and consistency of colors, and also the position of glasses on your face position behind the camera, the angle, the size, and so on. And only finally after that, you may perform various algorithms to perform this attack in certain limitations. And there are hundreds of different algorithms that you may perform. So, of course, we successfully performed the physical attack, and were able to fool facial recognition system with glasses. Glasses, together with bandanas, have the biggest misclassification rate, and it's also possible to make further optimizations to those glasses, for example, to make them a little bit smaller in size and so on. But this is was out of scope. But what's more important here is that if we want to protect our system from such attack, it's much harder than to protect from, let's say, SQL injection. Because, okay, the pen test demonstrated that you can fool facial recognition system by such glasses, but comparing to SQL injection, you cannot just filter it because there are different types of attacks, and once you protect your system from this attack, it may be vulnerable to other attacks. So there are other steps that you need to check your model parameters. You need to check this or other attacks in various physical conditions, and of course you need to check different types of protections. And unfortunately, there are no one-size-fits-all protections. Each of them has their advantages and disadvantages, but Eugene will tell you more about this.
All right. In this talk, we don't cover specific defense techniques in details because efficient defenses for AI systems don't exist yet, and common defenses either fail to protect from modified attacks or affect the performance and accuracy of AI systems. And while it's nearly impossible to create a universal AI defense, it's still feasible to maximize the difficulty of attacking a single AI application against a clearly defined threat model in a particular environment with particular restrictions. So it's more an operational issue to evaluate such defenses and trade-offs. Also, additional efforts are required in securing supply chains of AI models and datasets, and securing production data pipelines and AI infrastructure. So I want to finish with the suggested operational steps. And as part of these steps, it would be possible to find suitable protections. So to deal with the new threats covered in this talk, we suggest the following secure AI lifecycle to jumpstart an AI security program. This lifecycle is based on NIST cybersecurity framework and also Gartner's adaptive security architecture. These are two popular reference frameworks for cybersecurity lifecycle management, so you can use it too. So if you are interested in getting more details about such lifecycle with the documented steps, feel free to download our report. And if this is your area of concern, what should you do next? First of all, you should raise awareness of all the stakeholders involved in creation of AI systems. Second, you should conduct a security assessment of your AI system based on your unique threat model. And finally, after you respond to those security findings, you should implement regular AI security checks as part of AI development lifecycle. So this is it. Thank you for your attention. If you're interested in this topic, feel free to reach out, whether you're an independent researcher or organization. And if you want to learn more, download the original report and subscribe to our open newsletter where we cover AI vulnerabilities and incidents in AI security. Thank you.